Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick, your creativity and spiritual life coach, and welcome to another episode of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. This week, the episode is all about collaboration. A single arrow is easily broken, but not 10 in a bundle. Proverb. Before going into this episode, thank you for listening in, and if you haven't already, please join the mailing list. You'll receive emails with additional teaching points and resources for you to explore deeper on your personal inquiry. Also, save the date. Wednesday the 9th of October is going to be next month's Creative Confidence Masterclass. There's a link in the show notes for you to get on the list, and when the day comes, I'll send you an email so you can jump on the group. A Hopi proverb: one finger cannot lift a pebble. This week I'm talking about collaboration, and collaboration as it pertains to both creative endeavours and also in our spiritual existence. When we collaborate with others, we are opening ourselves up to receive new ideas and new perspectives. It's also giving us the opportunity for support. And then with that support, we're able to then see our strengths and then also recognise ourselves reflected in others and then respond to what others are bringing to us. I am a recovering hyper-independent person. And one of the most difficult aspects that I've had to deal with in my own growth is my ability to collaborate. And for me, that's required an enormous amount of strength to build that trust. It required me to take on a lot of healing and realizing where that hyper-independence came from, and realize that there were people who were able to see the real me without judgment, and that there were containers that would give me the room for growth. This was definitely not something that happened overnight, because in discovering the people and the spaces that were right for me, I also had to discard many that were not. And in discarding came a lot of disappointment, a lot of grieving, a lot of frustration, because I was wondering if there was still anyone out there who I could align with, and release the memory and the sting of all of those past times, all of those bad times that remained. And one of the parts of healing that was to understand the perspective of the people who had been so negative and instrumental in attacking me, that had raised my shackles and meant that I'd developed this hyper-independence. Where were those people coming from? And oftentimes they were coming from a place of initially trying to keep me safe, because they didn't really understand what it was that I was seeing and where I wanted to go. There was also within that times where there were people trying to keep me where I was, not allowing me to move forward for one reason or another. And many times there are reasons why people don't want us to move forward. You may be able to think there are people in your life that you feel that are always saying something or sabotaging you, and that causes you to shut down and not trust anyone. But oftentimes it's because they are seeing in your growth the reflection of where they are not growing and not moving forward in their life, and being confronted with our own truths, especially when the truths about ourselves are very raw and very real. It's a big thing to take on. So over time, I would start trusting that feeling of knowing when something was right and when something was wrong. And more times I was able to trust the feeling that this was not a good space and it was time to move. And I would make sure that I would move swiftly, not labouring any kind of judgment on the place that I was leaving, but also not placing any judgment on my own self, because usually I would enter into spaces or into these collaborations with a wholehearted belief that this was the right space for me. And for a time, being there was always something to be experienced, always something to be learnt. But also when that pang came from my intuition, when that knowing that it was time to go, I had to also be able to move swiftly, but also to be grateful for that experience. There would have been a reason, I would have been at a point in time where that was necessary, but my own growth had moved me out of that space. And then also when it comes to getting into the collaboration, so now we've developed that trust, now we've found people that we believe we want to collaborate and work with. This also comes with a lot of looking at how our ego will interfere with our collaboration, especially when it comes to creative endeavors. Because we bring so much of ourselves into our creations that when our creations or our point of view or our perspective is not recognized or even more so criticized, it feels like a personal attack. So it's also a time to work on yourself and realize that sometimes it's not always about you. And being able to come to a collaborative space with the understanding that the parties involved want to create something greater than themselves, and then are able to create something that's going to stand out above and beyond themselves with a view of what they're all creating together. So the future goal is what becomes paramount over and above how each of the individual feels about themselves or what's happening in that moment in time. However, when we're compromising, we still do need to find a compromise that means that we still stay strong and that our morals are not being overrun, or we're not going against our core beliefs or even denying ourselves. It's finding a balance by asking if we can still see ourselves and our portion of our input in the collaboration. In the areas that you are collaborating in, ask yourself, am I seeing the value of the work that I'm bringing forward? Or am I completely abandoning myself? Because there may be a louder voice or a stronger opinion. Collaboration isn't just about complete acquiescence of our own power. Collaboration is the ability to remain in our corner, remain visible within the work we're collaborating in, knowing that we're also able to have the best possible and equal input in the creation, so that we're not overtaking other people, but also that we're not carrying the weight of people who are not inputting their own portion of the collaboration. And collaboration when it comes to spirituality and living as spiritual beings. All of us are looking at the world through so many different lenses when we experience ourselves as the human. Can we transcend those different belief systems, those different modalities, those different religions and those different thoughts about what we think the world is about? Can we find a way of still using all of the things that I've said before, the trust, the releasing of the ego, the staying strong, the not compromising our morals, but holding the aim of the common goal? Can we come together? How can we collaborate and move forward and create the world that needs to be birthed in these times? Because this is why we're here. This is the purpose of what we're here for. This is what is required of us, to reconfigure the systems in this time with our own individual desires, standing firm in what we believe can happen. Even together with people who may have opposing views, remembering who we are as spiritual beings, know that the ultimate purpose of the age that we're in is to collaborate and birth the greatest creation that we have ever deemed possible, an awakened society. When it comes to collaboration, a word from your recovering hyper-independent. Exponential growth comes when you allow collaboration and guidance from people who you can truly trust and bring into your life. From Amit Ray, collaboration has no hierarchy. The sun collaborates with the soil to bring flowers to the earth. What's interesting about collaboration is the possibility for 1 + 1 to equal 3. From Ray Kawakubo. Thank you for joining me again in Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. Tell me what you're enjoying about Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. Also, feel free to share this episode with people who you believe will benefit from the lesson within. The more, the merrier. Let's share and let's collaborate. If you want to find out more about me, you can go to my website. It's carolmaywhittick.com, carolmaywhittick.com. Find me on LinkedIn and Facebook under Carol May Whittick, on Instagram, Casmic, CAZMICK. Until the next episode, have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.